When a man asks a woman to be in a relationship with him, most people assume he's being mature, honest, and emotionally healthy. But underneath that question is a subtle shift in power that often works against attraction. The moment you ask, you step into a weaker frame, not because commitment is wrong, but because asking places her above you as the decider and positions you as the one seeking approval. Attraction thrives on polarity. Polarity exists when one person is grounded in direction and certainty, and the other feels drawn into that frame. When you ask a woman to be your girlfriend, you collapse that polarity. You're no longer leading, you're waiting. You're no longer inviting her into your world. You're asking for permission to enter hers. And emotionally, that changes how you are perceived. Men usually ask because they want clarity, they want certainty, they want reassurance that their time, effort, and emotions are safe. But desire doesn't grow from safety first behavior. Desire grows from confidence, presence, and leadership. When a man asks for a relationship, what he's often really saying, without realizing it, is, please tell me where I stand so I can feel secure. That need for security is felt immediately, even if the words sound calm and respectful. Women don't decide commitment in a logical moment. They don't flip a switch because of a well-timed question. They decide emotionally over time based on how they feel with you. When you ask too early or even at all, you interrupt that emotional process and force her into a rational evaluation. And once she's evaluating instead of feeling, attraction weakens. Asking also subtly communicates self-doubt. A man who is certain of himself doesn't need to ask for a title to validate the connection. He knows where he's going. He knows what he offers. He knows the standards of who gets access to him. When a woman experiences that certainty consistently, she naturally wants to secure her place in his life. That's when she brings up commitment. Another issue is that asking frames the relationship as something she gives you. That's backwards. A relationship should be something you invite her into, not something you request. When you ask, you give away leverage. You turn commitment into a favor instead of a mutual progression. Even if she says yes, the dynamic has already shifted. You've communicated that she is the prize and you are the one qualifying. This doesn't mean you avoid commitment or play games. It means you let the relationship form through action, not negotiation, consistency, direction, boundaries, emotional presence without pressure. These are the things that make a woman feel safe, chosen, and emotionally invested. When those elements are present, the label becomes irrelevant because the connection already feels like a relationship. Men often fear that if they don't ask, the relationship will drift or disappear. But the truth is harsh and freeing if it requires a question to hold it together. It wasn't solid to begin with. Real attraction doesn't need to be convinced. It wants to attach naturally. The strongest position a man can hold is not, will you be with me? But this is my direction. Walk with me if it aligns. That frame invites commitment without demanding it. And that's the frame where attraction has the highest chance to grow. You don't get commitment by asking for it. You get it by being the man worth committing to. Women do not enter relationships because of logic, timing, or well-structured conversations. They enter relationships because of how they feel over time. This is where many men go wrong. They believe that if they communicate clearly enough, explain their intentions honestly, and ask at the right moment, commitment will follow. But attraction does not work like a business agreement. It is emotional, experiential, and largely unconscious. A woman doesn't wake up one day and think, this man checks enough boxes, therefore I will now commit. She commits because she already feels bonded, safe, desired, and emotionally connected. The decision is made long before any words are spoken. The conversation only reflects a choice that already happened internally. When a man asks for a relationship, he often tries to move things forward through logic. He wants to define the situation, label it, and reduce uncertainty. But emotions don't respond well to pressure or deadlines. When you try to force clarity before the emotional bond is fully formed, you push her into analysis instead of desire. She stops feeling and starts evaluating. And evaluation is the enemy of attraction. This is why many men hear things like, I need more time, or I'm not ready for a relationship right now, even after weeks or months of dating. It's not that she's confused. It's that the emotional pull isn't strong enough yet, or the polarity has already been weakened by pressure. The moment you ask, you introduce stakes. You create a pass or fail moment, and that moment often comes too early for her emotional system to respond positively. Women bond through experiences, not discussions, shared moments, consistency, emotional presence, feeling chosen without being chased, feeling desired without being pressured, feeling safe without being managed. These feelings build slowly and naturally when a man leads his life confidently and invites her into it without asking her to define it. When a man focuses on making her feel rather than trying to secure, everything changes. He stops monitoring her reactions. He stops looking for signs. He stops pushing for reassurance. Instead, he stays grounded. He shows up. He leads dates. He sets boundaries. He lives his life fully. And through that stability, her emotions deepen on their own. Another mistake men make is believing that words create certainty for women. In reality, words often create doubt. A woman may feel connected, excited, and drawn to you until you ask the question. Now she feels pressure. Now she feels responsible for your feelings. Now she feels like she has to make a decision instead of letting attraction unfold. Even if she likes you, that pressure can cause her to pull back. This doesn't mean women are manipulative or indecisive. It means their emotional process is different. They move toward what feels right and away from what feels heavy. Asking for commitment too early feels heavy. Letting attraction grow organically feels natural. The irony is that when you stop trying to lock things down, women feel more free to choose you. Freedom increases desire. Pressure kills it. When she feels free, she leans in. When she feels cornered, she steps back, even if she can't explain why. The strongest position is not asking for commitment, but allowing it to emerge. When the emotional bond is strong, the relationship labels itself. She brings it up. She asks where things are going. She wants clarity because she feels it already. You don't create commitment by asking logical questions. You create it by consistently creating emotional connection without pressure. Commitment does not appear because of a conversation. It appears because of leadership. This is where many men misunderstand how relationships actually form. They believe commitment is something you request, discuss, or negotiate. But commitment is a response to direction. When a man leads, a woman follows emotionally. When he asks, he waits. And waiting is not leadership. Leadership in dating is not control. It is clarity. It is knowing where you are going and moving there consistently. When a man leads his life with purpose, boundaries, and momentum, he creates a container that a woman can step into. She doesn't need to be convinced. She feels it. And when she feels it, commitment becomes her idea, not his request. Most men ask for a relationship because they feel uncertainty. They want to reduce risk. They want to know where they stand. But leadership means tolerating uncertainty without collapsing into it. A man who leads does not rush to define something prematurely. He allows time and experience to do the work. He understands that attraction grows through consistency, not conversations. When a man leads, he doesn't chase clarity, he creates it through action. He plans dates. He shows up when he says he will. He leaves when something doesn't align. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't over-promise. He doesn't emotionally negotiate. His behavior is predictable in the best way, calm, steady, grounded. And that predictability creates safety. Safety is what allows a woman to relax into commitment. Asking for a relationship often signals that a man is unsure of his position. It subtly communicates, I need you to confirm this for me. Leadership communicates the opposite. This is where I'm going. Join me if it feels right. One asks for permission. The other extends an invitation. Emotionally, those are worlds apart. A woman commits when she feels consistently chosen without being pressured. When she experiences direction without force. When she senses that the man's life is moving forward regardless of her decision, but that there is space for her within it if she chooses. That balance between openness and independence is where attraction deepens. Leadership also means knowing when not to push. Many men push because they fear losing momentum. But real momentum doesn't need force. It builds naturally when both people are aligned. If a woman is not moving toward commitment, asking won't fix it. It will only expose the lack of alignment sooner. And that's not failure, that's clarity. A man who leads understands this. He doesn't cling, he doesn't persuade. He doesn't sell himself, he observes. He feels, he adjusts. And if the energy is not mutual, he steps back without resentment. That ability to walk away calmly is one of the strongest expressions of leadership there is. Commitment is not something you extract from a woman. It is something she offers when she feels safe, excited, and emotionally invested. And those feelings are created by leadership, not questions. When you lead consistently, commitment becomes a natural outcome, not a forced discussion. You don't ask for commitment, you create the conditions where it wants to happen. Neediness kills attraction, not because desire is wrong, but because dependence replaces direction. Many men confuse emotional investment with emotional attachment. One is healthy, the other is heavy. When a man becomes emotionally dependent on a woman's validation, attention, or approval, he unknowingly hands over his center. And once a man loses his center, attraction begins to erode. Neediness does not always look desperate on the surface. Often it hides behind good intentions, constant checking in, over-explaining feelings, wanting reassurance, adjusting behavior to avoid conflict, saying yes when he means no. All of this communicates one message beneath the words: I need you to feel okay. And when a woman feels that she is responsible for a man's emotional stability, desire quietly shuts down. Attraction thrives on polarity. Polarity requires two grounded individuals, not one leaning on the other. When a man is rooted in his own purpose, routines, and emotional regulation, he brings stability into the dynamic. When he looks to the relationship to complete him, the dynamic flips. The woman becomes the emotional anchor, and that role is exhausting over time. This is why asking for a relationship too early often backfires. It's rarely about love, it's about anxiety. The man wants certainty because he feels unsteady without it. He wants labels to calm his nervous system. But commitment born from anxiety does not feel romantic, it feels like pressure. And pressure never inspires desire. A centered man enjoys a woman, but he does not orbit her. His life remains full, structured, and forward, moving whether she is present or not. This does not mean he is cold or distant. It means he is self-contained. He brings energy into the relationship instead of draining it from her. That is deeply attractive. Women are highly attuned to emotional subtext. They feel when a man's happiness rises and falls based on their responses. They feel when his confidence depends on how much attention he receives. Even if he says all the right things, the underlying need leaks through behavior. And once that dynamic is felt, attraction shifts into caretaking or resistance. Emotional independence is not emotional suppression. A man does not need to hide his feelings. He needs to manage them. He can express interest without attachment. He can enjoy connection without clinging. He can care without collapsing. This balance is what keeps desire alive. When a man is emotionally independent, he does not rush outcomes. He allows things to unfold. He trusts his ability to walk away if alignment is not there. That trust changes how he shows up. He listens more. He reacts less. He doesn't over-invest early. And paradoxically, this calm restraint often draws a woman closer. Neediness also removes mystery. When everything is immediately available, every thought, every fear, every expectation, the emotional space collapses. Desire needs space to breathe. It grows in the presence of curiosity, not certainty. A man who holds his ground allows that space to exist. This does not mean playing games or withholding affection. It means staying honest without oversharing, open without overreaching, present without pursuing outcomes. It means letting connection deepen naturally rather than trying to lock it in prematurely. The strongest relationships are not built by men who needed them to survive emotionally. They are built by men who chose them while already standing strong on their own. When you remove neediness, you don't lose connection, you give it room to grow. Attraction is not created by asking for permission to be chosen. It is created by living in a way that makes being chosen feel natural. This is where many men misunderstand commitment. They believe clarity comes from verbal confirmation, from defining the relationship with words. But real clarity is felt long before it is spoken. It comes from consistency, leadership, and emotional steadiness over time. When a man asks a woman to be in a relationship, what he is often doing without realizing it is trying to secure certainty before trust and desire have fully matured. He wants assurance that his investment is safe. But attraction does not respond to safety checks. It responds to direction. A woman does not want to be convinced into choosing you. She wants to arrive at that decision on her own through experience. This is why actions always outweigh declarations. You can say you are serious, committed, and different from other men, but if your behavior does not reflect inner stability, those words lose power. On the other hand, when your actions are grounded, calm, and consistent, no announcement is needed. The relationship begins to define itself. Leadership in dating is not about control. It is about creating an environment where things unfold naturally. You make plans, you keep your word, you show up with presence, you move forward at a pace that feels unforced. You don't rush intimacy, and you don't stall momentum out of fear. This balance communicates confidence without saying a word. A woman decides emotionally long before she decides verbally. She observes how you handle uncertainty, how you respond when things don't go your way, how you manage your time, and how you treat your own life. These observations answer questions she may never ask out loud. Is he grounded? Is he consistent? Is he safe to follow? Not because he demands it, but because he leads himself well. When men push for labels too early, they interrupt this natural evaluation process. They replace organic attraction with negotiation. Instead of allowing her to feel drawn in, they ask her to decide before she has fully felt. And when that happens, resistance often appears, not because she doesn't like him, but because the timing is wrong. Letting her choose does not mean being passive. It means being clear in your direction without forcing an outcome. You continue to invite her into your life. You express interest through action. You give her space to feel into the connection. This space is not distance, it is respect. It tells her you trust the process and yourself. There is also power in restraint. A man who does not rush to define things signals abundance, not of women, but of self-worth. He is not afraid of losing the connection because he knows he can walk forward regardless of the outcome. That inner security is deeply attractive. It allows the woman to relax into her own desire instead of feeling responsible for his emotional state. Over time, when a woman feels safe, excited, and consistently met, she will naturally seek clarity herself. She will want to know where things are going because the connection feels good, not because she feels pressured. And when commitment arises from that place, it is stronger, more stable, and more genuine. Relationships that last are not initiated by questions. They are revealed through alignment. When two people are moving in the same direction, the label becomes a formality, not a negotiation. So instead of asking to be chosen, become someone who is easy to choose by living with direction, consistency, and calm confidence. The final truth most men resist is this: your willingness to walk away is what gives your presence value. Not as a threat, not as a tactic, but as a natural outcome of self-respect. When a man knows he will be okay with or without a woman, his energy changes. He no longer chases outcomes. He no longer negotiates his worth. He no longer stays where he is not valued, and that inner stance is felt immediately. Many men believe staying, proving, and enduring will earn commitment. But attraction does not grow through endurance tests. It grows through mutual desire and respect. When a man stays despite misalignment, disrespect, or uncertainty that drags on too long, he silently teaches a woman that his standards are flexible. And once standards are flexible, attraction weakens. Walking away is not about punishment or ego. It is about alignment. A grounded man does not leave because he is angry. He leaves because he is clear. He understands that forcing something to work drains both people. He knows that staying where he must convince someone to choose him is already a loss of self. This clarity creates a powerful paradox. When a man is not afraid to walk away, he becomes more present. He listens better, he reacts less. He does not cling to every signal or overanalyze every message. His calmness comes from knowing that no single connection defines his worth or future. That calm is rare and deeply attractive. Women feel this difference. They feel when a man is choosing them rather than needing them. They feel when his attention is offered, not demanded. And they feel when his boundaries are real. Boundaries are not walls, they are signals of self-respect. A man without boundaries may seem accommodating at first, but over time he becomes invisible. The ability to walk away also protects the relationship itself. When both people know that the connection exists by choice, not obligation, interactions become cleaner. There is less manipulation, less resentment, less unspoken tension. Each person shows up because they want to, not because they fear loss. This does not mean leaving at the first sign of discomfort. Growth requires patience. But patience is different from tolerance. Patience allows space for understanding. Tolerance allows repeated misalignment. A disciplined man knows the difference. He communicates clearly, observes behavior, and responds accordingly. He does not beg for effort. He notices it. Walking away also strengthens your own identity. Each time you honor your standards, your self-trust grows. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that does not need validation, approval, or guarantees. When a man lacks this willingness, he shrinks himself, he waits for texts, he adjusts his values, he overexplains, he hopes instead of decides, and slowly he teaches himself that his needs come second. That internal collapse is what ultimately destroys attraction, not just with women, but with life. The man who can walk away is not cold. He is warm, but not dependent. He is open, but not attached to outcomes. He is committed to alignment, not attachment. This balance allows relationships to form naturally and end cleanly if they are not meant to continue. And here is the quiet truth. When you are truly willing to walk away, you often don't have to. Because people feel when they are with someone who respects himself. And respect is the soil where real desire grows. Choose alignment over attachment and let your presence speak for itself.